right. You are listening to Wxjm, that is 88.7 on your FM dial.
Wxjm.
As a professional writer, I had been handed the story of a lifetime. I didn't seek it out, and there were many, many long nights when I wished devoutly that things might have been different. That I was writing about a complete stranger whose hopes and dreams were no part of mine.
It's when you're gonna leave me. When you're gone, it's when you'll come back to me. As your lover, we were only just friends. Now I wonder who I am with distance. It's like we're breaking up. Oh, please spare my heart. I tried to make things work. Didn't want no one hurt. Didn't want no one hurt. Disgusting girl. This is quite swell. Obsessed only with you, leave me withdrawing, left high from you, to one God in heaven who pray I'll have my meds like a hit of morphine. He takes away the pain. This time I'll be much better. This time it's not the same. I swear it's not addiction. No, I can't refrain. To one God in heaven, he'll pray I'll have my man. This time I'll be much better. Oh, can't you understand? Oh, wean me off you. How cut it back? It's not a habit.
Wow. Pardon me. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in and listening. Most of these songs, if not all of them, are off an album, EP, shorter length compilation, that I released back in April. It's called Eros. It's on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. And my name is St. Catherine Siena. Thank you.
To feel your pulse from under my teeth. Don't want your love, I want your body. Don't mistake hunger for gushy feelings. I know I don't want you, and now I crave you.
I don't remember. Must not have been anything too urgent.
Sounds like you got a leak there, Reverend. You? I remember. Well, don't worry. Just hope you're better than I did.
Never dawn, never write another word about you. Funny how you asked me not to make this personal, like when you said my love for you is illogical. It's in my head. It's limerence. It's limerence. That's why I'm still upset. It's why I'm still upset.
Are you kidding me? You've heard of New Orleans, this little land. Because she never cared about
Doing things less to change my attention. It seems like you get off. Like thinking that if you comfort me, I cut you off. Now what's the point in killing me? Already gone. Already gone. I read them, I'm already gone.
Hello, you listen to Wxjm Harrisonburg 88.7 on your FM dial. I'm here with St. Catherine. This is St. Catherine of Siena. I'm Andrew George. I'm booking agent. How you doing today?
I'm good. Definitely better. Got that over. I was
Hell
definitely
yeah, thank you
having
for
some, yeah.
coming and doing this with us. I really appreciate
Of
it. It's
course.
it was a great time. You sounded great. A great set.
Thank you. Thank
Of
you.
course. Yeah, we should start with the interview. So I wanted to talk to you about, you use a lot of speech clips in your
Yeah.
music, and I wanted to know, like, when you're writing your music, do you ever like hear something outside and you're just like listening to like some clip on like YouTube or playing a game or something, and then you're just like, what if I just like use that? Or is it just like, or do you like, when you're writing a song, do you just think this could use like an interesting clip, and then do you find one?
I think, yeah, it's usually the latter. I am writing something. I usually just start with drums or synth, and then I loop that. Very, very primitive. Just I don't really think much instrumentally. I
Right.
just listen. But then yeah, I like voices. I like talking. I like media and horror and Reddit stories. So I'll just like find something either freaky, interesting, or somewhat related to, I think, what I'm trying to capture. But yeah, it's usually kind of once everything else is laid out and I've written everything else.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I the horror aspect. There's one clip that I noticed. I think I talked to you about it at the show. Was the Finance of Freddy's clip that I like noticed immediately, because I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I've played all those games.
Yeah, that it's definitely where that blends for me, where it's partially an ironic appreciation just because of how far that franchise has gone, but the more titles they release, the more invested I am.
It's stranger and stranger every time.
It just gets more obscure, especially if you're like someone that knows absolutely anything about the books. Fazbear Frights. That's kind of where it blends from like serious horror, because there's some genuinely really good voice lines from that series, but then it's also just kind of like baby game, you know?
No, I get exactly what you mean. Yeah, I found that was super interesting. I thought that was like, it's also a very cool way, I feel like, that you kind of blend the analog and digital qualities of your music. I just thought that was very interesting. I don't know if that was intentional, but it's something that I was like, whoa, that's so interesting and cool. So on the topic of like influences, horror influences, and whatnot, or yeah, influence. Let's talk about horror influences. Like, are there like specific movies or soundtracks that you're into? It reminds me a lot of like analog horror stuff, specifically with that.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely am a analog horror fan.
Yeah.
Pet Scop, like
Classic.
yeah,
Yeah.
Walden Files, just
Yeah.
things that I like blending that reality of, or that concept of, is this real? I think it
Mhm.
derives directly also from like fascinations with just internet horror in general, like creepypastas
Oh, yeah.
and I almost said NFTs, ARGs, ARGs.
Yeah, NFTs and everything.
This idea of, is
Yeah.
it fiction or is it reality?
Right.
But then in terms of like actual films, I think one of my favorite films of all time is Raw, which is a French cannibal film.
Yeah.
That has just a lot of motifs about femininity and sisterhood and coming of age, while also being like brutally
Right.
how it is. The Exorcist. I mentioned that being something I watched, put on the background. Just horror in general. I recently watched The Substance, and that
Interesting. Yeah.
that opened up a hole. If anyone has seen that, you can. That was definitely. I was like, oh, that made me feel some type of way. So maybe deriving from that as well. But just general, like, definitely campier, but also genuinely very unnerving kind of things.
Right.
Again, towing the line between believability and absolute absurdity. It's usually how I like to roll.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It comes through very well. I remember you mentioning the Exorcist as an influence. So, like, speaking on that as well, with the kind of more horror elements, I noticed that there's a lot. It feels your kind of ghostly vocals feel almost like worshipy in a way, and it's like reminds me a lot of classical kind of like tunes and that. And I was wondering if there's any like specific like religious style influence. I mean, just like artistically, and obviously I don't want to ask you like about religion, but I mean like just like religious
we can turn it into that
kind of influence, I guess I would say.
Yeah, a lot of it is from growing up Catholic, but in high school I spent a lot of time in jazz and chamber choir. So my senior year, in fact, a lot of the clips that I have in my songs are performances that I did with my choir. And I can like tease apart my own voice, and it makes me cringe a little bit because it's slightly younger. But yeah, I did a lot of like choral singing in high school, a lot of music written for big, empty, echoey spaces. So that usually goes into the more religious, how you say, Gregorian chanty, requiem. I'm trying to think of other pieces. It's the second I'm put on the spot, just all my anything I can recall is gone.
I get that completely.
But yeah, I think that just comes very naturally from really immersing myself in that, and singing music from all over the world at that time. As well as just really loving the acoustic qualities that the human voice can carry. A huge influence for me is Lingua Ignota, and she just fills the room with her voice, and then it almost feels like the instrumentals follow her.
Right.
So, yeah, I kind of like that quality of just, I don't know. I think the voice is like the best instrument if you were to classify it as such. There's something so primal. And old school. It's we can argue that it's the first.
Yeah, the first instrument.
So,
besides just like beating on things, making drums.
Exactly.
You know, for sure. Other musical influences. Then is it like would you say that I mean, besides like classical music and whatnot, like what are your more electronic influences? I mean, I could be projecting here, but I could hear like Grimes or poppy influence in there, and I just was curious what type of music you might be influenced by in that department.
Yeah, definitely earlier Grimes, like
Mhm.
Gidi Primes, Hellfaxa, I think probably up to Visions for sure. One of the first songs I wrote, Morphology, I almost am self-conscious with how much it sounds like Infinite Love Without Fulfillment. But Caleb asked me if I liked Caroline Polachek, and I was like, why? Can you tell? So Caroline Polachek's another huge influence, at least at the time of writing this music and right now. Other electronic influences, though, I don't want to like ride the Charlie wave, but like
I
Charlie,
mean, yeah.
like, but specifically like how I'm feeling now,
Right.
and then, yeah.
Oh, I get that. No, I think
Pop 2
she's awesome.
again. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't at this point?
That's
I'm
true.
happy that she's getting as much recognition as she is. She
yeah.
deserves it. Just 'cause I feel like she's had her
Yeah.
fingerprints everywhere. And then jumping off of that, I think definitely maybe number one, just in terms of inspiring me to make music, kind of enabling that notion of like, oh, you have a computer with GarageBand.
Yeah.
Why aren't you making music? A.G. Cook, because it's very 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 scratchy, very noisy, but still very simple, and I don't want to say understated, but I try not to think too much about it. Like
Right.
if it scratches an itch, it scratches an itch.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, he's a little more hyped than I am, but
I
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I think I just kind of lean towards the more slow build up, sensual, heartbroken vibes.
Yeah.
That's just I'm trying to not, but it's just where I always end up.
I think it's really interesting. It's a great kind of niche you're carving out for
Thanks.
yourself. It's really cool. Yeah, shout out Caleb behind the camera over here. He's in the room with us. The goat. Yeah, your EP. I wanted to ask about, what was the process of going into making that? Was that a long time coming? Was that, kind of a passion project you were working on for a while? And if you were working on anything major in the future that you'd like to talk about?
I honestly threw that together, Eros, ER0S, like God of Love, not to be like arrows, shooting arrows.
Yeah.
I kind of just put together all the songs that I had. I realized that I had about 30-ish minutes of music back in March when I was making my MacRock application, I was submitting my MacRock application. And I wanted something to I got accepted into MacRock, and I wanted something to promote and to like have a QR code out, just 'cause it was, that's a huge opportunity to network and have other people recognize your music. So it was kind of just like I decided that I wanted to have a collection of songs, and I just kind of produced them to the best of my ability with the equipment I had, and I put it out. And in terms of future projects, I think it's on my New Year's resolution. It's definitely a New Year's resolution of mine to get back in the studio. It's just difficult, especially now I'm finishing up my master's. I'm in the trenches, in the absolute depths of PhD applications right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I'm kind of taking it day by day, but
yeah,
ideally I have time for both.
Yeah, for sure.
Winter break, maybe.
Winter break.
Yeah.
That's the time, man. So I want to ask one more question. This is something I stole from Campbell, who's done a lot of interviews here. Who asks at every interview they ask if you could describe your music or describe you as an artist in terms of a movie, what movie would you choose?
Oh goodness, that's so difficult. I feel like unintentionally or intentionally, I try to capture the work of Jane Schoenberg. So maybe I Saw the TV Glow, or maybe even more accurately going off of that analog horror ARG kind of influence, like, oh my God, why am I blanking on the name? We're all going to the World's Fair. Yeah. If y'all haven't seen that, that's a trip. It's definitely for people that grew up with the unrestricted internet access. I would just describe that as unrestricted internet access, the movie.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic! Yeah, thank you for coming in, doing the interview, and thank you for doing the set. It was wonderful, great having you here. And
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course, if you guys want to see this interview and this entire set on YouTube, it will be posted in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much. Thank you. You would like to say anything else while I go and swap it out? Go ahead and just say whatever.
Oh my God, I had shout outs for everyone. But then I checked my messages and a lot of people were listening. Shout out Brenna, shout out Michaela, shout out Kaylin. Shout out Maggie, shout out just everyone, mom and dad, sisters if they got the link as well. I love you all and have a good night. I imagine the sun is set by now. All right. Thank you.